no, she was that bad. Snappy, huh?
So one day I went into the pool because I built a big enclosure in my basement back in Illinois.
Yeah. Oh,
And I went in
wow.
my pool, and she came towards me with her mouth open. I tied her jaw shut. I shipped her to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina,
Oh, wow.
to Alligator Adventure.
Hey, I know them. I
Yeah.
remember that name.
Yeah,
Howdy.
Alligator Adventure. I shipped them, and it's funny because the rest of that week, I swear, he was smiling every day.
She got rid of her,
Oh
huh?
my God, he was glad.
Oh.
And I gotta tell you, I ran into one of the people some years back. Ran into one of the people and said to me, I said, "How's Cruella?" And she goes, "She's still a bitch." That's what the lady said.
Oh.
She said she's
Never came around, huh?
never came around.
Oh, man.
There shows you about personalities. Every animal, just like every human's got a personality.
That's right. I got to work with some alligators in South Carolina. Hollywild is one place, and
They're all
over in Lake
different.
Waccamaw, one of the largest that I'd seen in North Carolina was Lake Waccamaw.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest things I've ever seen was, everybody talks about it, but actually getting to see them freeze in was one of the neatest things I'd ever got to see. I got down, like you said, you kissed Bubba, I got to kiss a wild alligator on the snoot. And it wouldn't have liked it, but it couldn't do anything about it. It was locked in ice.
Yeah.
It was just barely slush ice, but it was enough to
Yeah.
get in there and say I did it.
Blow them down.
Isn't that neat, though? People always have this idea that they can't handle the cold, but they can handle it. They just don't like it. They're like me. They can handle it. Doesn't mean they like it. You know?
Yeah, but we were out in the whole Midwest. I was in Iowa, of course, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana. I traveled around with him. We did so many programs because my whole mission was, conservation through education.
Absolutely.
Learning about animals, learning about wildlife. When I was a kid, I loved animals.
Yeah.
And I was a dinosaur freak.
Me too.
I was a dinosaur freak all the way. Well, I got to tell you, it was funny because I was always catching garter snakes because I lived in Illinois.
Yeah.
And they were everywhere back when
It
I
was
was
one of the easiest ones for me,
my
too.
God. Every time my mom did the laundry, she had to check my pockets for snakes.
too.
Because I had snakes in my pockets all the time. Well,
Man,
I got to tell you.
it's like reading chapters out of my own book.
Yeah. I just enjoyed it.
Me too.
I had such a respect for all animal life.
I always have. I think it was me. It was garter snakes, followed by northern banded water snakes.
Yeah.
And that's all that was really available. But I knew that Ohio had rattlesnakes and other species.
Oh, yeah.
To this day, something I always tell people about, I know that a lot of snakes look different as juveniles, but I'm convinced that I found a new species. I was flipping rocks in the Maumee River there, and I saw, it looked like a San Francisco garter snake. It was all the colors of the rainbow, and I tried to get a hold of it, and it got away. And to this day, it got me hunting. I think that's what really started my journey I got all the Audubon, North American Field Guide to North American Reptiles and Amphibians. I got everything, went down to the library, never could figure out what that snake was. And every time I go back and visit the area, I flip rocks in that river looking for it.
We had a lot of those green grass snakes in Illinois.
Oh, those are neat. Yeah, like ribbon snakes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love the great thing about here, and it's a sad thing about here, is the invasives, the non-native reptiles. I know that it's horrible what the Burmese python have done. I know that.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, for me, the kid in me, when I go to South Florida and I'm in Homestead, and I see a ball python or a rock python or a Burmese or anything, the little kid in me, just because it's all I got to see when I was a kid on National Geographic. I didn't get to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I saw a Burmese, it was just magic. Magic.
Well, I think I told you this, but, all the shows that Bubba did the Oprah show twice.
What?
He did Leno.
You guys hear that?
He did Regis and Kelly.
No way.
Animal Planet. Extra.
He changed minds.
HGTV.
Really?
Fox News.
You're kidding.
WGN. Windy City Live.
So he is the most famous
and
alligator on planet Earth.
National Geographics. And he was in a special for National Geographic called Bigger Than T-Rex about a dinosaur named Spinosaurus.
I'm going to watch that when I get home.
My
Bubba's in
buddy,
that?
Spinosaurus. Bubba was in the film. Dr. Paul Sereno
I know that
He's
name,
a dear
yeah.
friend of mine.
You're
Dear
kidding
friend.
me.
Oh,
You got
no.
to know, you
Oh,
spoke
yeah, I
with
knew
him?
all these guys.
No
I knew them
way.
all, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I knew them all. I'll tell you.
That's like, I got to talk with Austin Stevens once, and I just fanboy talking with those
You know
guys.
what? I ended up knowing so many people. I got a picture of my daughter, who is now 50 years old. She's got five.
Get out of
five
Dodge. You have a
sons.
50-year-old child?
Oh, my son's 54.
I wouldn't have guessed
I'm
that.
77 soon, sir. Yeah.
I thought you said 70. I heard
No,
something 70, but
77
holy
soon.
cow.
Yeah. And
Well,
my
you're
wife
right.
and I will be married 57 years this month. 57 years.
That's amazing.
Yep, September 23rd. But anyway,
Oh, let me get out of your hair.
no, that's all right. All the great stuff, like I said, that we did.
It's
The people
unbelievable.
we met, what I was going to tell you is back in, I think it was 1991, my daughter, we were up in South Dakota, and my daughter touched the tooth of Sue the T-Rex while it was still in the Matrix.
Are you kidding me?
Nope.
How in the world?
I met the guy that dug up Sue the T-Rex.
Michael Crichton would have had
I met
a coronary to do that.
I'll tell you, the people I met over the years.
Sue.
Jim
That's the
Fowler
most famous
was a friend of mine. Yeah, I met Jim Fowler. He was a friend.
Jim Fowler is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I met so many great people, I'll tell you. You know,
Now, growing up for me, it was Marlon Perkins and Marty Stauffer were two
Marlon
that
Perkins, yep.
I
knew
absolutely. You
Yep.
what?
I
You
knew
got to
Marlon
meet
Perkins.
Marlon?
I know Marlon, yeah. I knew Marlon, yep.
Oh my God!
Oh, yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, because
that
of
man
my...
like is my childhood.
Yeah, because
so
of
cool.
my love for animals, he ended up meeting everybody. You know, because I was, you know, like I said, doing so many public programs. You know, people wanted to come up and meet me. You know, how did you train an alligator? You know.
It's like, how do you train a
all
dragon?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I always say, you know, I trained 2 teenagers. If you can train a teenager, you can train anything. And of course, I had to have a little humor. I had to have a little humor in my programs too. But, you know, I was serious about the fact of my mission. And you always follow your passion, because so many people, you know, you're crazy, you know, you're going to get hurt, you know, this and that. You know, I've been working with animals since 1952.
You
and
hear
look,
that guy? 77.
yeah, I got all my fingers.
I
I've
thought
been doing
he was.
this
I
my
thought he
whole
was
life.
60, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
It's the alligator genes.
Thank you.
No, I'm just absolutely impressed and overwhelmed just to be in his presence and to see what you've got to do with your life. And when I was a little kid, I'm on the spectrum, so I didn't speak until I was a little bit more than 3. And, you know, I saw the world a lot differently. I was reading before I spoke. I was actually able to read and pick things up, which is really, really, you know, I think it's not ordinary from what I've been told, but animals were the thing that I clung to tighter than anything. And I didn't really have the greatest family life, so it was animals for me.
Wow.
And I got to experience this stuff through what you were doing with your life. And that's what absolutely just overwhelms me to be around them.
Some years ago,
And he's just there relaxing.
some years ago, Bob and I were down at Navy Pier in Chicago.
Yeah.
I had Bubba sitting up on some tables. I gave him one command to sit, and he sat all day.
Are you kidding?
Now, people were coming up and petting him all day long.
Oh,
I had a mom walk up with a little boy about this big.
just a little tight.
She proceeded to tell me that little Sammy didn't speak. He was autistic. I said, no problem. So Sammy starts petting Bubba. He's petting him. 45 minutes later, little Sammy grabs Bubba's front foot, looks in his eye, and Sammy starts.
No way!
Mom started crying. I was crying. It was
That's
so
amazing.
because, you know, I have such a.
That's how it was with me.
I love kids. I love, you know, it's been a mission, you know, to help people.
How beautiful is that?
So 10 years passed, and I'm not at another event. Mom walks up to me, says, "You probably won't remember me. I was down at Navy Pier with a little boy." I go, "Sammy." She goes,
No
"Oh my
way.
God, you remembered?" I said, "Oh my God, how could I forget?"
Yeah.
At that moment, Sammy walked up to me. Now he was this tall.
Yeah.
He put his hand out and he said, "Jim, how you doing? How's Bubba?"
You kidding? How
The
cool
mom
is that?
said with a tear in her eye, "Nobody even knows that Sammy's autistic."
Wow.
It was so powerful.
That's
But
how I
this
was.
is what
I
we've
growled.
done. You know, this is all the things that, you know, I've been so just blessed to be able to help, and to be able to help people and do the things we did. All the smiles he put on
Unbelievable.
special needs kids when we did all the special needs stuff, because I really, really wanted to help and anybody who was interested, I wanted to get people interested in conservation, protecting animal life, learning about animals, because I said from the beginning, all the secrets are in nature. Everything's there. We
It's
gotta
terrible.
learn, and that was the mission.
That's my whole mission these days. We're working on a show called The Creature Chronicles that does exactly what you're saying. We're trying to highlight the things that we need the most.
Yes.
And we're losing so many species. I always tell people, we're losing the cure for cancer.
Yep.
We're losing the cure for the next virus. We're
That's
losing
it.
hope. Every animal that we lose, we can lose gold and gems in the earth.
Yeah.
We can't lose a species
No.
of crocodile. We can't
No.
lose a species of flower.
No.
So I try to, right now in Florida, you want to hear something crazy in Florida, there's between 66 and 150 unique and endangered species, and I cannot get a total number on any one person. They can't tell me exactly how many.
Okay, buddy. It's all right.
He says cleaning day, it makes him nervous.
He's been spending a lot of time underwater because it's been so hot.
Oh, yeah.
He's been spending a
Poor guy.
tremendous amount of time, because, obviously, you're cold-blooded, but there's almost only so much heat you can take, too.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
there's got to be, he tries to find his balance.
Now, they're very cool. Now, I know Naples doesn't get very cool, but at the coolest, does he spend more time out basking? I've seen him a few times out basking.
Oh, yeah. He basks when it's cool.
Okay.
But
Well,
right
when it's
now,
heat, he likes to get down in the shade underneath the
he
water,
has
which he'd be
no-
doing in the wild.
Yeah. He has no interest in basking right now.
That's,
with,
understandable.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I cover a lot of animal attacks. The people love the animal attack stories, but I always tell them I don't want to give a double-sided buffalo nickel.
Yeah.
And I've got to work with a lot of different, actually 4 or 5 different crocodilian species since I was little, different, caimans, spectral caimans,
Yeah.
and different things like that. I love seeing American crocodiles every chance I
yeah.
get.
Oh, yeah.
But, I've never seen one to stalk me and just try to attack me or anything. If I give them space and I understand and have awareness and situational awareness, I've been able to interact. I go walking in the swamps of the Everglades all the time at night. And most of the alligators that I see that are anywhere near his size, they take off and spook the minute you get close walking around with a flashlight and a headlamp on.
They don't want any part of
They
it.
don't.
No.
And if they don't, if you just touch them with your foot, they go.
They don't want no part of it.
Of course, I'm not in hip deep water. I'm not that foolish. But I'm more concerned with the water moccasins and the pygmy rattlesnakes when I'm getting out to there, but I'm not really concerned. But we have seen a lot lately of people having negative interactions because of dogs, and that's something I hope to overcome through education as well, is to teach people
Well, you walk
to
your
stay
little
away.
dog next to the lake, there's at least 50% less game than there was 100 years ago.
Right.
You can't walk your little dog next to the lake.
And they don't know that because of a lack of education.
Yeah.
They move from different places, and my whole goal is that they see our show and they go, holy cow, these animals are absolutely amazing animals, and they hear about what alligators go through as well with shrinking habitat and the fact that many of them have become so habituated out of necessity. They don't have anywhere else to go, and the state of Florida says anything more than 4 feet could be nuisance and just killed, right?
Oh, well,
if it
killed all
bothers
the
you.
time.
And now I think that we could overcome a lot of that with education.
Yeah.
And I know that there's
That's why
people
I
that
try.
feed and everything else, and
But
it drives me
down
crazy.
here in Florida is so restrictive.
Yeah, it is.
I want to travel around and do stuff and
The Lacey Act won't
open
let you
up
now.
the people's eyes.
But now, so the Lacey Act, is that the federal act keeping you from doing that now? Is that what would be the most of it, or just all together?
I think it's just primarily, the Florida Fish and Wildlife, it's just over the
Is it
top.
really difficult now?
I think it's just over the top. But, like I said, if they could just get out and see, if I could do several programs and if they could see what I do. And
They
what
need
the
you.
mission
They
is.
need you to.
Yeah, because I want to educate people,
Yeah.
and that's the mission. I want
that's-
to educate people.
I think you still can, 100%. You've educated me, and I think, honestly, with Bubba here,
So incredible.
I know these days, I grew up in the era when Pong came out and Atari, and I thought that was just crazy. Computers were as big as this enclosure.
Yeah.
But now, you could have a little phone like this, and you could have access to 1 million people.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Bubba.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not as fun, but, I
Yeah.
think, wouldn't it be amazing to bring kids in here, do your presentation, and have 1 million people watching Bubba?
Well, that's
because
what
he deserves it.
That's
Alligators
what we need
deserve
to
it.
do.
I believe
And
that.
I got to tell you, when I was growing up, I lived in the city of Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay. And I had a lot of black friends.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I used to tell my black friends, and this is the truth,
Mm-hmm.
why do you guys think you're such great athletes? They go, what do you mean? I said, look at your history.
Mm-hmm.
I said, your family lived in Africa.
Yeah.
I said, you had to go down to the water to
Oh.
bring back water to the village.
Mhm.
If you didn't have fast twitch muscle fiber,
That's
if
very
you couldn't
true.
run fast and jump high, you were eaten.
That's right.
They go,
yeah.
oh, We
Oh, yeah.
never thought. We
I
didn't
tease
know
my
that.
buddies about that too.
I said it's a fact.
Yeah.
It's nature.
It's human nature.
It's
and I tease them. It's
incredible.
funny you say that because I have some friends too, and I always say, why do you get so scared of dogs, or why do you get so scared of animals? You know, and they say, because, you know, they want to bite us, they want to hurt us.
Animals are incredible. I'll tell
They
you.
are, and I got to work. I had some issues in my past where I made some mistakes with alcohol and other things, and when I turned my life around, I went into ministry of all things from zoology and environmental science.
Right.
And I was part of a program. It was like a pit bull for parolees program.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually, when the people were getting ready, the men were leaving to go out on the street,
Yeah.
you know, we tried to arm them with something that they could train dogs and make a living. It was the first time they had tried this. It was at a place near Morganton, North Carolina. And there were two gang members. The first time that, you know, I was assigned anything, it was two gang members. They were both rival gangs, hated each other, but they were both getting ready to get out. They had to work together to do this, and they adopted an old female pit bull named Princess. Yes. And I got to see, it was the most heartwarming and heartbreaking thing that I've ever seen, because they came together. They lived in the same cell with the dog, by the way. And they came together, and one night about 2 a.m. I got a call, and they said, "Preach, you need to get down here." And 2 a.m. calls are bad no matter where you are. But I said, "What is it?" And they said, "The guy's Princess died." And I'd never seen hardened criminals. I come in, and these guys, hands over their chests, were crying for that dog. And those two guys were embracing each other on the ground, crying for that dog, and it broke me. And I saw the power right then and there again, I saw the power in nature, because animals save me every day.
It's there.
I've rehabbed my whole life. In Ohio, I rehabbed. In North Carolina, I rehabbed, and got to work with everything from possums to alligators, and I've always tried to give back.
Yep.
And alligators get a bum rap. They do.
And these guys are smarter than what people
Way
know.
smarter. Let's talk about that. Tell us about some of the things that you've seen.
Well, you know, it's just, I got to tell you, back in Illinois, he lived in my basement. All right? I lived on 2.5 acres. Okay? I had a big pond on my property. And it was a big pond.
Yeah.
And there was all kinds of fish in there, you know, everything. I had wildlife all around, because I was the wildlife breeder.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I thought you were the best place in the neighborhood for the kids. Ask questions.
The kids would come over. They fish in my pond.
I would have wore you out with
release
questions.
the kids, you know, and I had a lot of special needs kids come over and fish. So anyway, long story short, he'd sit out on my driveway, okay? And he'd sun himself right on the asphalt. Now, the pond was within 30 feet of where he was. When he got too hot, you'd think he'd walk over the pond and jump in. He'd turn around, come back in the garage, go to the door and push on a door.
Yeah.
He'd come up into the house, walk back down the basement stairs, and
You're
walk
kidding.
to his pool and put himself
Spatial
away.
awareness.
He
Unbelievable.
He knew where he was. Yeah, and that's what he did.
Can you believe that? And that's one thing people say they're not smart. Well, look at that.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do that.
How about it?
In a new
How
place.
about it? And he figured it out, you know, and that was the neat stuff. And then, you know, all the times we were doing programs outside, and I'd say, "All right, buddy, you know, we can wrap it up. You can go take your break now." And when I said, "Take your break," he walked to my van, climb in, and lay down.
Are you kidding
No.
me? So he will load up if you load him up. He will actually go climb himself up in your vehicle.
He knows. I tell you, he
Isn't
knows.
that and that flies in the face of what most people would say, but I've seen it myself.
Yeah.
And it blows me away. People say that they're not very intelligent. Well, we look at everything through a lens of human intelligence for one thing. They've survived 5 major extinctions, and we're in the midst of the Holocene, the man-made extinction event. So somehow they got it together. We've been here in the blink of an eye. They've survived dinosaurs, the synapsids, and many other species, pre-dinosaurs. And the fact that they're still here and rocking, so they might have a smaller brain in proportion to us, but they use and maximize everything they have.
We have
everything.
We use 11% of our brain.
Yes.
You know?
Hey, look at these. Do you see? Look at this little guy hiding.
I should say, Einstein used 11% of his brain. What is the average guy driving down the road? Yeah,
they're hiding out on us.
They always tuck in there. Yeah, it's neat.
Isn't that funny? We got an audience.
Yeah. Well, here, let me grab this broom for a second.